It's Reverend Will, the senior minister of First Christian Church here in Fulton, coming to you live with our midweek devotion. Twice a week, I lead the lesson for The Rock, our ecumenical youth group here in Fulton. And this past week, I led it on Isaiah 43, verses 1 through 7. And so I thought I'd give you a sort of updated version of what I taught our 6th through 12th graders. We're grounded in the second half of Isaiah 43:1, wherein God says to his people, "Don't fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." Now, I can barely think of a more uplifting prophecy than this one. The words come out of Isaiah's mouth or hand, but they are God. They're his words, speaking to God's people. By the time gives them this good news, his people have had a rough go of it. You only tell someone, "Don't fear" or "don't be afraid," when they have something to be afraid of, something they think or really is threatening. But this encouraging word comes during the Babylonian exile, that period in Israel's history where the people of Judah, the southern kingdom, have been kicked out of their home and the temple of Jerusalem has been destroyed. I can't overemphasize how devastating of an event this was for the people. It threw their whole world upside down, causing them to question who they were as individuals, as a community, and whether God was on their side at all. Isaiah wasn't even writing to the people who were forcibly removed from their promised land. The prophet wrote to their grandkids, people who had grown up far away among a strange people. These ones had only known pain and abuse, confusion. They were afraid God abandoned them. They were afraid that they would continue to experience suffering at the hands of those foreign invaders they were forced to now live among. They were afraid they had no identity. But into their fear, God tells them to not be afraid. But God even gives them the reasons why. He says, "I have saved you. I have given you an identity. You are mine. You are my people. I, the one who created everything, the cosmos, created and formed you. And don't worry. I know you're scattered now, but I'm going to gather you back up from as far as east as from west and north as from south. I'm going to gather you up for my glory. Nothing in this world is going to stop me from being with you." That is good news, especially when you are as low can be. God is clear. You are precious in God's eye, and God stays with you, abides with you, no matter how far the world has flung you. And because of Christ's work on the cross, his death and resurrection, this promise is for you too. Amid the waters of baptism, God reiterated these words to Jesus. And by the sake of your baptism, where you die a death like his, that you might rise to new life like his, you are named and claimed by God, grafted onto the family tree of faith started long ago with Abraham. The promises God makes to these people in Isaiah are the promises God makes to you. God speaks into your life, especially when you've been tossed and kicked and abandoned. God's double admonition to not fear, to don't be afraid, is the highlight. Because in a world where we find ourselves constantly fearful or being told we really need to be afraid, we can take solace that no matter what the world throws at us, we need not be afraid. God is with us. God is with you. Now, this doesn't mean you won't go through it. It doesn't mean we won't have to walk through metaphorical floods and rivers and fires, that we won't feel like we're drowning or being swept away or burned. In fact, it's written in such a way that God says that those things will continue to happen. Being faithful, being one of God's people, doesn't mean that you won't feel like you're drowning or swept away or burned. Instead, God promises to be with us when those things happen. He says, I will be with you, with us, to see us to the other side. It means those experiences won't be the end because God will see us through one way or another, because we know after death, there is resurrection. And that is good news for you. Thanks for joining me for this week's devotion. I hope you heard this word of grace. Please like and share it with someone who you think needs to hear it. And as always, you're invited to join us for worship on Sunday morning. We gather at 10:30 here in Fulton in person or here online. But if not, our benediction is the same as always.